All right, guys. Hopefully you are back now. We are done with the breakout rooms. So here are some of the problems we have. What I'm going to do here as we move into the second part of the class, which is to go over the final exam. Before I do that, I'm going to write down just a few answers for you in case you'd like to see those, see how you did. And I'm just going to go ahead and give you these answers just to save some time. For CX, for the first one, you should have got 10. And for XW, you should have got 5. For number 2, you should have got 12 for BY and 4 for XY. And then for number 3, if you got that far, this is 6, and then AZ is 9. So those are the answers to the first 3 questions. Does anybody have any questions on how I got any of those answers? This would be a great time for you to ask. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move on then.
Okay. Sorry about that, Mr. Allen. We were coming in a little late.
That's okay. I just put some of the answers up here. I don't know if they want to look at those real quick and see if they agree with those. Did you guys get through 1 through 3 done?
We got 1 through 3, and I was trying to explain to them the relationship between PM and PR, and I was kind of having a hard time.
On number 4?
In my head, yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So we know that P is the centroid, right? Oops. Hold on here. Sorry, I have got this. I'm trying to use some different technology today. We know that P is the centroid. And they tell us that MP, that's this length, this segment right here, is 14x plus 8y. The question says, write the expression for PR, I'll do that in blue, that's this piece here, and then MR, which is that whole length. So here's kind of the interesting thing. It turns out that, MP is 2/3 of MR. That's the formula that you guys should be using on these problems. I can solve this equation by multiplying both sides, or not solve. I'm going to write it in a slightly different way. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. So now what will happen is this 2/3 will cancel that 2/3, and you will see that MR is equal to, oops, I did that completely wrong, guys. I apologize. Let me fix that. I should not have multiplied by 2/3. What should I have multiplied by? The reciprocal of 2/3. So that would be 3/2. Sorry about that. That'd be 3/2 on both sides. So, because this 2 will cancel that 2. This 3 will cancel that 3. So then you're left with MR equals 3/2 of MP. And we know what MP is. So all you got to do is multiply that by 3/2. And when you multiply that by 3/2, you'll get the answer that you want for MR, which is the total length there. So MR turns out to be 21x plus 12y, just to let you know. Now, once you have MR, well, we know that MP plus PR has to equal MR, and so you can just use segment addition postulate to get PR. So that's one way to think about it. That might be kind of a hard way to think about it. An easier way to think about it is this. This length here has to be twice that length there. Because if you think about it, this is 2/3, so that's 1/3. So that 2/3 is twice whatever this is. So that's another way you could go about it. Does that kind of answer your question, Mr. Stewart?
Yeah, I hope you guys understand that, the guys that were working with me. Not only does Mr. Allen have bigger muscles than me, he's better at explaining stuff. So make sure you get that. Look at that thing.
Now, guys, keep in mind, I think that this section right here of the 2, I think this is way more difficult. I think this one is the hard section, section 5.4, okay? So let's go ahead and move on now. Let's go down here to 5.6 because I want to get into the review for the final exam, and we have about 10 minutes left here, okay? And then, again, once the 45 minutes is up, if you want to stick around, you're more than welcome to. In fact, I encourage you to if you have questions. All right, so let's look at this one. So question 1 here says, why is the measure of angle 1 greater than the measure of angle 2? And angle 2 is right down here. And the reason that it's greater is because angle 1 is an exterior angle. And we have a theorem that tells us, so by theorem, it is greater than either remote interior angle. In other words, angle 1, this guy up here, has to be bigger than this one. It also is bigger than that one. And the reason that we know that is if you remember from the past, we learned that angle 1 is equal to angle 2 plus angle 3. So the measure of angle 1 has to be equal to the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. So therefore, the measure of angle 1 has to be greater than the measure of angle 2. So that's the reason why. That's by theorem. This is section, I think it's 5.6. 5.6. So that's that one. And this one over here is kind of the same answer. But now I want to get down. I actually did this example in class the other day. So let's look at this problem. Actually, let's do 9 here real quick. What kind of triangle is that? Well, that triangle is what we call a right triangle. And if it's a right triangle, of course, the Pythagorean theorem applies. You guys maybe recall the Pythagorean theorem from the past when you were in middle school. But basically, remember the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So it turns out that this side over here is 13. And since it's the longest side, guess what has to be the biggest angle? Angle R. So angle R should be the last one on your list. 12 is the second longest side, so that means that angle S is the second biggest angle. And then 5 is the shortest side, so that means that angle Q is the smallest angle. So let me just say this. The smallest angle in a triangle is across from the shortest side. The largest angle in a triangle is across from the longest side. And I think that's kind of intuitive. Does anyone have any questions on that problem there, number 9? I mean, you can almost kind of look at this and guess. I don't think it's super hard. Okay, I want to do one more question, then we'll talk about the final exam. Oops. I've got to learn to use this a little bit better. It's on the second page. Let's try that. There we go. And let me zoom in here a little bit. Okay, let's pull that down. Now, did anybody happen to get to number 10 here? Number 10. Mr. Stewart, did you guys get that far?
We did not.
Okay.
We did not.
So guys, I'm just going to tell you right now that you can find out that this is 90 degrees, right? So guys, since this is the biggest angle here, angle R is the biggest angle, you guys want to take a conjecture on what the longest side is? Well, it turns out it's the opposite side. So the longest side here is going to be QS, and that's the longest. Guys want to take a stab on what the shortest side is? Well, the shortest side has to be across from the smallest angle. So that means that angle F or angle Q, which is 44, which is less than 46 and less than 90. So that means that RS is going to be here. And then, of course, the middle one's going to be RQ. I think I'm going to stop there. There's actually a little bit more at the bottom I want to get to, but we're down to 5 minutes, and I want to make sure that I get to the review that we need to do. Okay, I'm going to go back to our presentation from current slide. Okay, so what I've tried to do here with the first part of the period is review the stuff that we did on Tuesday. And I'll just be honest with you. It seems like you guys are a little shaky on this. So I would encourage you to practice this a little bit more so that if any of these questions like these are on the final exam, you don't miss them. I think that they're pretty, these centroid ones are the hardest ones. I think these down here in the inequalities are actually a little bit easier. Okay, so here we go. Final exam. This is what you really want to pay attention to because the next time we meet, which is Tuesday, is the final exam. It is the biggest grade of the semester. It makes the most impact on your grade. If you have a D plus, it could move you into the C range. If you have a C minus, it could move you into the D range. So please do your best on the final exam. Here's what you need to know. Number 1, the final exam, I'm going to go ahead and give you the entire 75 minutes, which is the amount of time we have in class that day. There's a little bit of time extra at the end, but this is basically how much time I'm supposed to give you for the exam, 75 minutes. There are 43 questions. And guys, I'm telling you, the questions cover everything that we've done this semester. Chapters 1 all the way through chapter 5. The stuff we just talked about today could be on the final exam. Anything and everything that we've talked about is fair game. You may use notes. You may use a calculator. You can even use the review that I posted. Did you guys see the review I posted on the Canvas page? Okay, I see some people shaking their heads. That's great. I think I'm even going to post the answers to that. So you can use any of that stuff on the final exam. But I'm just telling you, if you don't spend some time reviewing, it's going to be hard for you to do well on this exam. Please make sure you use appropriate testing protocol. In other words, feel free to use a calculator. Feel free to use your notes in the review. You are not allowed, though, to have your buddy helping you, or you're not supposed to be texting. You're certainly not supposed to be taking pictures of stuff. You're just going to take the test. You're going to log in with me like you always do. Every test, you guys, you have to log in with me, keep your cameras on, keep your microphones muted, take the test, call it, and that'll be it. We'll be done with the semester, and we'll be done until January 4th, okay? Does anyone have any questions, general questions about the final exam, the composition of the final exam? Okay, if you do, feel free to send me an email, okay? All right, so review questions. So this is the review right here. This is the review that I posted on Canvas, and I've already got all the problems answered and worked out myself. I've already done it myself. I went through and did all these. In fact, I made this. Posted all of it, and I think the answers are going to post later today, I think, at 2. I can't remember. But does anybody have any questions about the review for the final exam? Okay. So, guys, it's already on there. Everything that you need to know is on there. And I'm just letting you know this review that I made, because I usually have students that are like begging for this kind of stuff. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like 9 pages. There's a lot of stuff in here. That's how much stuff we went over this semester. 9 pages. It took me a while to work it out, too. It will take you a while. You'll be in better shape if you know how to do it, though, on the exam. All right, so we are at about 2 minutes left. So I'm going to say at this point here, if you need to go, you are allowed to go, but I'm going to give you the option of this. And by the way, free study means you're just going to head on out, and that's fine. Would any of you be interested in playing a review Kahoot with me just for fun, which is just going to be review problems from across this semester? Review with Kahoot. Who's game? I know Mr. Stewart's in. Ishmael's in. Sean's in. Marvin, are you in?
Jennifer's all about it.
Jennifer's in. All right. So anybody that wants to play, we're going to play Kahoot. So here we go. If you do not want to play Kahoot, it's okay. You can move on. I've got you taken care of so far. But we're going to go ahead and move in. If you're not going to do Kahoot, be ready for that final exam, okay? Make sure you do. I would do this. Okay, make sure you have this done. Anyways, we're going to play Kahoot. Let's go ahead and keep that. Let's go to here and go to Kahoot. And we're going to go to Geometry Review, Teach, Classic. All right. All right. Your game pin is 6947074. You need to have the Kahoot app on your phone or your computer to play. I'm going to stop this.